This insurance fraud story has raised many questions, especially at the process of acquiring a policy on an individual without them being present. We now rope in Sekgobola Thobakgale, broker principal at IYAASHOW. Thobakgale, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. I think, since the Rosemary Ndlovu fatal insurance fraud story, people have been extremely concerned. And of course, this particular one where this police officer has now killed 6 people, allegedly, of course. Just how prevalent would you say is insurance fraud? And perhaps while you're there, just give us the most common types of insurance fraud that you've encountered.
Good afternoon, Unati. So there's multiples of insurance fraud that takes place in South Africa in particular. You would find that a person that is regarded to be honest and upright in the community, when it comes to insurance and committing insurance fraud, most people don't see it as that. Is that I've been paying premiums and therefore I need to be paid back. So you would find that a person, in case of assets insurance, a person has lost one pot, but they would want to claim for a whole set of pots, even the ones that they never had before. So it is unfortunate that billions of rands are paid towards these fraudulent claims, which is why we have seen predominantly after the case with the Rosemary situation, that the insurance industry has put up measures to make sure that there is consent if a policy is taken in another person's name. Maybe things that might be put in, going forward, and some have already been implemented, is to make sure that if somebody is being added as a life, in this case of a policy to be insured, that person is allowed to provide some concrete consent that yes, I want to be part of this policy as one of the people that are covered under this policy. As you would know, generally in the funeral space, you would insure yourself as the policy holder, and you would have multiple other people that you would add, relatives as well as those who belong to your family.
And I mean, it would be helpful, I guess, to understand how these fraudsters then operate. How can consumers protect themselves? And I hear you mentioning also life insurance, from becoming victims of this insurance fraud, especially when we are talking here life insurance, where people are, presumably wanting your ID book, as an example, to get you a job, as in Rosemary's case. But there are other reasons as well, because most of the times these are family members, right?
Yeah, it is. I think one of the things that these cases are actually sort of making quite clear and open to the public as well as the industry as a whole is that there are certain measures that are not in place that those who perpetrate this kind of crimes are able to maneuver. And it results in fraudulent claims that will eventually be paid out. I think what we should do as society, we should be more relaxed around these issues in a way that when a person is asking you about or rather not even relaxed, rather more vigilant, I beg your pardon, that when a person is asking you for your ID number or your ID book, a copy of it, you make certain to understand what is it for and who is it for. That you are also being part of that conversation to understand, what benefits are you earning from this acquisition of your ID or copy of it or number. What is it that this person is going to do with it? But also the language within our communities that needs to probably be corrected, where things like lifula haelang philisa, when one dies, I get some money, and as a result, I'm able to prolong my financial stresses by getting this money that is not really due to me.
Yeah, and Sekgobola,
other things that I think...
Yeah, just because we are running out of time, but what steps then should you take, you know, if you do find that somebody has used your details incorrectly in a fraudulent manner and quite possibly for crime-related purposes? What should you do? What are the steps to take?
I think the first step is to contact the insurance company. If your ID number is included in that policy, you would be able to, you know, even if they don't give you the full details of the policy, but they would be able to come back to you and say, right on the phone and say, yes, there is a policy. It is taken by so-and-so to the level that they are able to disclose the personal information that is linked to that policy. And the next step then, once you have the details of this policy being taken against your own consent, is to go to the police and lay either a charge or lay a grievance to say that, you know, such a person has taken a policy in my name and it has not been consent by me, so that the law enforcement, as they've indicated now, that, you know, they are concentrating on this kind of claims. They have special people. I think I heard in one of the interviews that there are certain captains of industry in the police that are following up on this kind of situations. Also, you know, a central base for people to be able to go and check whether they have policies under their names. I think that the insurance industry needs to look at, you know, sort of regulating, like the same way you can do with Home Affairs, where you can go and check whether you've been married or not.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because the next question was then, you know, what role the insurance industry plays in combating such fraud. Because on the one hand, you have the person reporting it, then going to the police, but where does the insurance company then fit in, particularly where they are just fed with a bunch of ID books for various people and not doing their checks and balances?
Yeah, I think the verification processes needs to be more stringent in terms of, you know, verifying that, one, the person that is taking the policy is the correct person that is requesting cover. Two, the beneficiaries in case of life and funeral insurance, as well as accidental coverage, all these other, you know, what are regarded to be quick and sold policies, that more rigorous verification is tightened in order to make sure that, you know, regulatory processes that have been put already by the FSCA, financial services providers, that I'm talking about broker houses, they follow those. Key individuals of these broker houses, they do some sort of sample of making sure that every person or every policy that has been written and binded to an insurer, it is a policy that has been verified. Either we introduce things like biometric verifications or implementation of more strict and multiple checks to make sure that, you know, the same person does not take more than 3 policies, for example, because there is a cap on funeral policies that you cannot be insured for more than a certain amount. So those type of things should be more collaborated within the industry, establishing units that will be able to detect this kind of suspicious frauds.
And from an accountability perspective, should that start then with the insurance companies?
I think so. I think the burden lies with those who are selling these products, because there is also a burden on those who are the ground force, those who are going around selling these policies over to the insurance companies directly. I beg your pardon, to the clients directly. That these agents who are selling these policies, they are being monitored on the type of policies that they sell by firstly the brokers, the broker houses. Secondly, the insurance companies have got measures to make sure that everybody can be verified and consent has been given and documents are signed, and there's timestamps to show that, you know, when the clients sign documents, especially if these documents are signed online, you know, that there is some sort of audit trail to show. Another thing that I'm thinking about right now is everybody that you add on your policy should be able to probably sign and say, yes, I consent to be part of this policy as well. Yeah.
Exactly. Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time. Unfortunately, we have run out of time. Sekgobola Thobakgale is a broker principal at IYAASHOW, of course, just talking there about insurance fraud.